Good morning, y'all. I hope you're having a really great day. It's a beautiful day out there with the sun shining and all that. Today is going to be another Easter tutorial, Easter bunny tutorial. Everybody loves Easter bunnies, I guess. But that's what I decided I was going to work on today is another one. I have drawn out this really cute little scene here. And I like drawing out my stuff. I don't bother with all the other things of how I can transfer something onto another, but I guess you have to have a preference and a little bit of a, to be able to draw. But we are going to embark on this one. I'm going to make it short. I'm going to work on it a little bit with you. And then I'm going to go off camera and then do the rest of it and come back to the very end for a second part that will finish out what I didn't do on the first one. So let's get going and get to this next cute little bunny scene. Okay, so welcome back. Here we are to this next little bunny scene here, Easter bunny scene. I actually am using mixed media paper that I actually got by mistake. Or I don't know if it was a mistake, but it's certainly not what I usually get when I've ever gotten mixed media paper. That would take watercolor. But here to there, I had some watercolor ground, so I put a layer of watercolor ground on top of this. And I actually also, to make this into a block, I used some Mod Podge and I went around the sides of the Mod Podge and left a little tiny place, for an opening to take it off the block. But it really makes a huge difference on it curling up, the paper curling up and all that kind of thing, because this is not like the ones I've purchased in the past. But it was on sale, so maybe that's why. But for these purposes of just demonstrations, tutorials, works fine. A little bit of ground on it and it works just great, as you will see. Okay, so we're going to get started on this. I'm trying to figure out whether I want to do the bunnies first or whether I want to paint the background. I think I'm going to do the bunnies first. So I'm going to take this round brush here, which is a 6. I think it's a 6. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the bunny. I'm going to go around the eye here. Bunnies are kind of, I don't know, a little bit intricate, I think, to paint, but I'm going to start with a big one here first. And we're going around all the other bunnies, and I'm starting just with the mummy bunny. That was a mouthful. First. Okay, so I'm going to take that, and then I'm going to go into my brownish color here. Add a little bit of the sepia with that. Well, gee, I did wet my paints. Okay, there we go. All right, and I'm just going to, I want to leave a lot of white spaces. That's a little darker than I wanted. Okay, and we're just going to kind of dab in on the top here, on the top of his head. It's a little bit darker, but we're going to dab it around, leaving white spots, if we can think of it, for highlights. Something that takes quite a while, at least it did for me, to get used to, leaving the white spots for the, it's not it's not the end of the world by any means if you don't. You can go in with Chinese white or some other kind of white. But, for the most part, I've gotten so that I can now. I do remember most of the time. But you see the watercolor ground is taking this color just fine. So that's good. That worked out great. Take a little darker up here on this fur. And when I do this fur like this, I'm no professional at it by any means, but when I do this kind of thing, I dab instead of, because I'm trying to depict it to be fur. You know, I don't want it to be, and this down here, there's a little bit of white for the mouth, underneath the mouth, and outlining this bottom. And then we're just going to go right on. I mean, you know, bunnies are in so many different colors that you can do whatever you want. But these are going to be kind of a brownish with a darker layer within their fur. So I've got some water on my brush, and I, you know, put water on my paper. So I'm just moving. As you can see, I'm just moving color around. Oh, I love watercolor. I just love watercolor. I did, I'm gonna dab out and stuff like that, soften, all kinds of cool little things here. I did acrylic painting for a long time, long time, for many years, 30, 40 years, and I loved it and all that. But I always wanted to learn watercolor, and I didn't for way too long. I listened to myself, tell myself that I couldn't do it. Why? I don't know. So anyway, what I'm getting at with all this is don't listen to that voice. You know, this is not that long I've been doing watercolor compared to the years that I did acrylic, believe me. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job at, you know, we're getting some sepia here to darken this, some areas up here. Oh, I didn't wet the ears first, I'm sorry. That's what happens when I try to talk and paint. Okay, so let's get some water going in some areas here. I wanted the outline anyway, so that's okay. And this is okay that I have some brown on my brush because I'm going to be putting those colors in anyway. So we're just going to move this around a little bit and make this darker here on the out. Can't see the, I lost his little eye. Okay, there we go. And then we're just gonna, you know, add some darker in places, some lighter in places. You know, give the shadows here and there. Whoops. Sometimes you go out of line. You just wash off your brush, wipe it off, come back in and take the color out. There we go. Isn't that great how that works? Now I'm going into some of this rose, a little bit of the brown with the rose, and leaving some white areas in here. Doing the same thing over here, and I've already wet this one. I like really pink bunny ears inside. They don't have to be that strong, but I like it. So when you make a painting, it's your painting. So you're going to do what you like, what you want. Somebody else might not like it, but that doesn't matter because this is my painting and it would be your painting. So that all becomes rather null and void, I call it. You're just going to do your painting your way, and somebody somewhere will like it, guaranteed. Just getting a few darker colors and lighter colors. Always going to be cute. The bunnies are always cute, no matter when you do it. Okay, so let's kind of soften some of this and bring down a little bit of defining of the ear. Sort of pull that down. And again, this will be a two-part. It'll definitely be two parts. Because I don't want to rush, and I don't want to, I want to get done what I want to get done. And usually the best way for me to do that is just to make them two parts. I don't want 3 parts, but 2 parts works good. And see how great the watercolor ground is causing me to paint on here? It's really cool. And then if you want, with the very, very tips of your brush, you can just make some little lines to indicate, you know, you're indicating fur, you know, little faint little, just these little lines that say this is fur, you know, like this, like I'm doing, just all over. And it will say, yeah, that's his fur. Let's see here. Do we want to kind of dab along more? So you want to make sure you got some light areas, some dark areas. You know, you can't have light without dark, so you know that whole thing. So we're going to come over to this part of the body here, and I'm going to start painting this, his regular body. I'm going carefully because I'm going around some leaves and things. I chose to do the bunny first. You can choose to do whatever you want. You can do the background first. You could do, but just, you know, keep in mind what you're doing, you know. So we've got a little darker, oops, I did that too hard. I just wanted to kind of make the fur go a little, indicating the fur. Well, if I could talk this morning, we'd be doing great. I'm trying to get some sepia there. And you want some little dark, I want this to be a little darker on the top in areas, other areas, and then just kind of dab, you know, like that. There are little lines, and it kind of just helps to kind of indicate, you know, it's fur. You know, that's what we're painting, fur. Well, he's looking kind of cute. Okay, now I'm going to get some dark. I'm going to add some sepia and some purple. I have to spray my paints again because what I did do didn't work. I also have some metallic paints here that I'm going to add in eventually to all this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go into the pink of one of those metallics. Just had some brown on the pink, and I'm going to use it up here in his ear for the pink parts. And then, you know, with the different lighting, that will kind of sparkle, because these metallic paints have a little bit of sparkle to them. So I'm going to add some, I want to do his eyes right now, so actually get some sepia there, so I want them to be very dark. Their eyes are, you know, usually really dark, so we'll get that with a nice, as you can see, I'm using the tip of this little brush, and there are the eyes. And then actually with the same one and this very tiny tip, I'm going to give some whiskers. Right now my hand doesn't seem to be too shaky, so it's a matter of really very, very lightly touching the tip is really what it is. And then we're going to go into some yellow and some white and kind of put that for his nose. You can make his nose whatever color you want. You know what? I think I'm going to take some pink, and I like the pink nose bunnies. Again, like I say, it's your painting, so you do whatever you want. Okay, well, he's looking cute. Yep. They usually are. And then we got to give him his little expression here, a little mouth. And we'll maybe just kind of outline his nose ever so slightly. Oh gosh, he's really looking cute. And we'll define a few more whiskers here. When I'm doing this, I am barely touching the paper with the tip of this brush. I mean, barely, and I'm dragging it for a whisker. All right, and then, you know, we just want to, it's all kinds of, I like lots of colors and, you know, things added into my See, what am I going to add in with that? Maybe some little bits of gamboge here. Orange, gamboge, whatever you'd like to. I'm still getting over a pretty bad cold that I had for several weeks. The thing just hung on like unbelievable. But I'm over it, but it leaves, you know, these residual effects that you have to deal with. So hopefully my voice is clear enough, and hopefully my head is not too sounding stuffed up, because it still is a bit. So there, I'm going to add in some there. I think that one's done. So that's the first bunny. Well, no, hold on. We're going to take a little more white right under here where his mouth is. And also, we need to make sure that we take some sepia and right under his chin area, because it would be shadowy, right? It's no light getting underneath there. So we just have to, you know, kind of indicate that. Yeah, cute, really cute. And of course, in paintings, we always go back and forth, and we take color out, we put color in, and just, you know, it's kind of, you just have to find a time when you say, okay, that's done, that's good. You know, we're done on that. But in watercolor, it's always really good to make sure that you've got enough darks and you've got enough lights. All right, so I'm not going to do another bunny right now. And I think what I'm going to do is take the rose, and I'm going to come up here to the little tulip bulb I've got here, remembering to leave some white spaces. I'm going to get a little water on the brush and move this paint around a bit, kind of making sure we don't have hard edges. We're going to just do a tulip. I'm going to do some of this little tulip here that's happening. I'm going to take some color out because I want that top part to be a little more. Oh, I just lost one of my white spaces. Well, we'll come in like this. There we go. And I want to define the, you know, the lips of the one part, you know, the side of the tulip here, to put a little purple on there and kind of go down like that. This is how I'm painting it, okay? You can literally do the colors of any, you know, of it that you want in any way, fashion that you want. I'm picking these colors. You literally, of course, don't have to do that. Make the painting your own. It's so important to do that. You know, don't try to be like somebody else. You're not somebody else. You're painting, and what's coming out of your hands and mind is what is going to come down on your paper. And that's really important. It distinguishes you from other people and their painting. So there we have that. We're going to go to a green, sap green, and I'm just going to kind of, well, it's a little wet, so it kind of blends. Didn't too much, but enough. And using my tip still, I'm going to bring this stem down. I'm going to add a little blue to that green so that I have some dark with the light. And it's kind of blending in there a little bit. And with that same, I'm going to press down. I have to turn my paper a little bit, and that's perfectly fine to do. What I want to do is get a cute little leaf going on here. If you have to turn your paper, turn it. Whatever works. And I have another one. Okay, so we did that one. This is going to be so pretty when it's finished, but I don't want long videos, so I'll do quite a lot of it offline, come back, finish little spots and areas with you. Let's come over here to one of these, and do you know I cannot think of the name of this flower. I'm going to add some yellow and some orange. A little more yellow. I wanted more yellow. Oh, that. Okay, let's see here. Okay, and I'm going to, it's those first little flowers. Oh, daffodils. I think that's what they're called, daffodils. That's what these are. I draw these things. I know, I know what they are. I've done flowers in my own garden for God knows how long, when I had a garden. Okay, so, and then I'm going to go to a little rose to outline the edges. No, you know what? I'm going to choose the mauve. Now, when you put your paintbrush in the water, that was just about to happen to me. I'm choosing to outline this with the mauve color. You can outline yours with whatever colors you want. I'm trying to remember to leave some white, so I got to dab a little bit out. Take some more yellow and kind of go a little darker on this side. These are the daffodils, the very first little flowers that come up in the spring, I think it is. If I remember correctly, some of the little flowers that come up in the spring. And what I really wanted was, and I didn't do it, so I'm going into I like incorporating my, either the Chinese white, which I don't have anymore right now, or acrylic white, like on these edges here, and this will stand out much better once I've, what do you call it? Once I've painted the background, there'll be some dark behind there to cause the white edges of the flower to pop out, kind of pop out there. So I got to get a little something dark on my brush here and kind of pull out the center of this and add some darks like that. And I've got a couple of those in different places. Put a little bit of more dark on the stem here. And then I'm going to do a couple of leaves. Make sure I get those colors off my brush, especially the white, because I used an acrylic white. I'm going to come here and do a couple of my larger leaves. Whoop, get some water on my brush. Paint around all the different shapes and drawings that I've got going on. I'm going to put water on this one, wet this one, and I'm very happy with the way this watercolor grounds, great stuff, is holding up for me to put the watercolor on and work well with it. I'm almost out, so in order to use up this whole pad, I had to purchase some more, but no harm, no foul. I'm going into a light green in I have certain acrylic colors that I have in my palette here. I have a light green, and that's another kind of thing you can use. See how light that is? I can use acrylic paints as watercolor. They're going to dry differently and everything, and they work a little differently, but they work. I just happen to like this particular green. And then I'm going to go into some darker green. Yes, I can add it with the acrylic, make it work, as you can see. It actually works very well. Move it around. I happen to like it. You may not like it, and that's how that works. We all have our preferences and our non-preferences when we paint. That distinguishes you from me, if you know what I'm saying. So you can do that if you want. I'm going to add a little brown of the sepia, mixture that I have here. In areas, leaves always have, or you don't have to, but they usually have some browns going on in there somewhere, because some part of the leaf is, dying, and some part of it. And then other parts are very, very light because they're healthy, and, the whole deal. And now I'm going to go back to some sap, and I'm going to just sort of put that around in areas. And that's one of the, get some of that Perline, one of my absolute favorite colors of all. Whoop, a little too much there. Okay, and put that in at the bottom down here, where it's kind of hiding behind this other leaf. Excuse me. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to take that, and at this point I have some different colors happening on my palette, and that is the actual way that I blend colors as well. People ask me so much, you know, well, how'd you get that blend? Well, it really just it kind of happens on my palette, and then I make it happen on the paper. That's basically, really, honestly, how I do. You'll see I had a little purple going on there. For me, that's just fine. I had a little purple in with my sepia. So we want down in that coming down though, when the flower or the petal or the leaf is, you know, hiding behind something else. Well, of course, it's going to be a dark area there, so we want to indicate that. I'll add a little bit of these browns through here. Again, we're taking off, putting in. It's just, that's what you do. And so I'm going to get some of that other greens that I've got mixing around in there. And it's kind of like I have the light green, I have sap green, I have some gamboge, some sepia, and I like to mix. And I'm, as you can see, I also remembered to keep some light out there. Take out some light for the highlight. I actually want to get that a little bluish greenish. I like colors. I love colors, and I love the blending that happens. I mean, if you look at a flower and you look at a leaf, you're absolutely never going to see just one color. It's just, nature isn't like that. God did not create anything to be just one color. I mean, it might look like one color, but if you look at it really, really close, it's not going to be one color. I also like to add in the different colors that I have going on. I have pinks and reds, so I'm going to put those into my leaves as well. To me, it makes them look more organic and real. But again, that's just me. So I'm going to go with my really light green here and add just a little up here. Mind you, blending with the acrylic in it is a little different. You have to get used to it. But if you like the effect, then you just do it. You work with it and you figure it out, and you'll know that, okay, over there I have that, so I need to do this and thus, you know. It's all, you know, just practicing and doing all these things. Just giving a little darker in places for this bunny, because I'm not going to do the other bunnies today. We're coming to the end of this tutorial for today. I actually thought I'd get a little further, but I didn't, and that's all right. I'll finish most of it offline, come back. Some of them might have a third part, but I don't want to go into a third part, and I'm already kind of moving a little further. I wanted you to just kind of see how I do these things, and I'm going to add a little, you know, they got to have the little white parts in the eyes to really make them look real. And then I've got eggs that I'll do the other bunnies offline. And then, you know, we have the eggs. So we'll do one egg just for the sake of the fact that we're going to do one egg. So I'm going to make it mainly a pink one. Pink egg, this one. And I got water on here first. And I'm going to remember to leave, I'm just dancing my brush around, being careful not to go into my other areas that I have not painted yet. If you do, it's not the end of the world. All these things like that, which I loved when I used to learn, you know, and listen to Bob Ross. You know, happy accidents, they happen all the time, and you just make them work. So I'm adding some purple in with it, softening some edges here and there. I might even take my Indian yellow. Oh yeah, one of my favorite colors. That happens to be acrylic. And I'm putting that in here. Oh, I love that color. That is such a pretty color. And then we'll just kind of move it around a little. And I'll take some mauve on the very bottom side here to give it a little darker, because it's up against other things. It's down where the light's coming, you know, from the top. So it's not going to hit the bottom. So you need something to depict that the bottom is darker, you know, where the light's not hitting it. I'm just grabbing some different colors off my palette. Again, it's all mixed up in here, but that's okay. It mixes with the other colors, making something pretty. So I think, folks, for this round, oh, well, you know, one other thing. Oh, I say this all the time. I'm going to take some of the rose, metallic rose, and I'm going to add that in here. So when the light shines just right on this little egg, whenever, and also over here on my tulip, you'll see, you can't see it. It's very faint. There's a very faint sparkle in them. This is what they are. They came in these little box type of container like this, and they're all just different colors of a very faint sparkle, and they're called metallics, I guess. They were a mistake that I got them. I didn't order them. They came to me by mistake in the mail, which that's fine. I didn't mind at all. I think it was the company's mistake. I don't know, but it works for me. I wanted, you know, I have some metallics that are gold and silver, but now I've got some with a lot of different coloring, so that's good for as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so I'm just adding in some darker. It needed some darker there with the leaf. Now I am finished. For now, this will be part 1. And like I said, I don't mean to repeat, but I'm going to finish a lot offline, and I'll come back for part 2 and work the rest of it with you and a bit of the background. I must be in slow mode this morning, because I usually get a lot more done on a page within this time frame, but that's okay. It's not any kind of problem for me. If you know you have a hard time seeing, you have zoom, you have slow-mo, you have rewind, all these things that if you sit down and paint it yourself, or even if you're painting it with me, pause it, whatever you have to do, go back and look at it and all that kind of thing. It's just the way we do all this stuff. I don't know how many times I've done that kind of thing in any kind of video when I was learning. So I hope you enjoyed this first part of this little Easter Bunny tutorial. Be checking for part 2, and check out some of my other tutorials as well. I hope to see you again, and have a really awesome day. Bye for now.